The main aim of my research is to find out the differences between absurdity and existentialism in the French philosophy of the 20th century. The relevance of my research is to find out the scenes of life of each person, the role and place in the society. The object of my research is the philosophical work of Albert Camus, The Myth of Sisyphus. The basis for this work was a philosophical essay by the French existentialist writer Albert Camus, The Myth of Sisyphus. Albert Camus is known among the general public as one of the most important philosophers of the 20th century. The central question for Camus was the question of suicide, whether life is worth living, what absurdity is, and how his concept of rebellion was able to fundamentally change attitudes toward life in the minds of millions. Also, Camus himself denied his relationship to existentialism. It didn't prevent him from establishing himself as one of the most important philosophers in this field, together with Jean-Paul Sartre, Friedrich Nietzsche, and Fyodor Dostoevsky. For a deeper understanding of the absurdity, according to Camus himself, and existentialism as such, it is worth defining this concept. Existentialism is a philosophical trend emphasizing the uniqueness of human existence, its freedom, which is manifested in the responsibility for each decision made, the awareness of the fact that each choice has its imprint not only on the fate of participants who are involved in this choice, but also on the whole of humanity. In its turn, absurdity is a state in which a person is unable to understand and accept phenomena, including statements which have no logical basis. For man, the main absurdity can be considered the very meaning of existence. Fear of death and lack of understanding of the after envelops us with horror, makes us resort to many actions in an attempt to escape this existential absurdity. If we talk about the causes of this fear, we can assume that it is caused by the lack of knowledge about death. We are frightened by the unknown in the idle emptiness of which we don't have the slightest fact. Attempts to give meaning to existence can be traced throughout human history. The emergence of religion, the emergence of new philosophical trends and assertions, all of the above has directly influenced the formation of the worldview and characters of men in society. The attitudes, preferences, and the four choices of people in our environment leave their heavy mark on us. Without realizing we begin to notice a constant feeling of groundless hope for salvation and the exaltation of the soul in a better, different world. But as we know, hope is destructive. To live in total self-deception is to live like a slave, except that the slave didn't chain himself with his own chains. To live means to defy absurdity, to overcome all dogmatism and inner despotism, which has become a habitual lump of dirt in our mouths, to live here and now without hope of a beautiful future, with a full understanding of the reality of all that is happening. Be that as this may, life is one-way road. The end of the life cycle is followed by the empty nothingness. To put it simply, the world will be the same as it was before we burn, and this is irreversible. Wouldn't it be easier that to get rid of the early fetters? We live in a world without purpose, in a cruel, sometimes immoral world, with a single truth of the end of all that we know, all that we feel, all that we enjoy, and sometimes even reproach for. Why do we read books with the stories of our favorite characters? Ask our friends to tell us again the story of that adventurers. When the feeling sense floated outside the body, tickling to no avail every nerve that used to remind us the grayness of life. It's not the end of our heroes that matters to us, not what followed after those heady moments. Life is as short as a vague moments in our memory, as our hero story, That gap is life. From Camus' point of view, Sisyphus is truly happy because he receives above the meaninglessness of his existence and can revel in his toil from time to time. In his routine, he has found himself. The goal of Sisyphus is to be involved in his process. He is like a master who carefully and with extraordinary interest makes a work of art. Camus teaches us that we must take out our own way, walk it, experience all the difficulties and joys of life. Killing ourselves is tantamount to submitting to people whose opinion encourage us to take this step all the time, challenging daily difficulties, coping with them, and triumphing over all victories. We live real life. This is the definition of the concept of rebellion, which I believe will never lose his relevance. Can it be said that Camus justifies people's immoral action, their savagery and harm to society by putting the goal above all else? Words are acclamation. To justify our deeds, we resort to many, sometimes even more insensitive actions. By the definition of existentialism, we can understand that all our choices and actions don't take place outside the society. Everyone must consider the fact of his or her role in the social chain. If we value our own freedom, we shouldn't by no means limit in those people who surround us, because in this way we turn into a grey lump of dirt in someone's mouth, which doesn't allow his person to know life in its full sense. Existentialism is one of the most enduring philosophical movements of all time. Its teachings save people by opening up new, previously unknown feeling in their soul. I am convinced of its resilience alone with this global threats that humanity has yet to endure. Appreciate life, appreciate the joys and sorrow, the moments and the memories, the feelings that accompany us throughout life. Don't be afraid to do something wrong, because life is too short for regrets and reproaches about the wrong decision we have made.